Hello there guys, Francis Gray here, and today we're going to continue on building the Freddy Krueger diorama. Okay guys, so welcome back. This is part 2 of this build. In part 1 we basically took the main statue from Kotobuki here. We made a wooden base for it with like an L-shaped bracket, 90-degree angle. We added some tiles, which was a bit problematic. So it was a part where I went a bit wrong, so I had to put quite a bit of work into fixing that. We 3D printed a boiler in different sections, and we put those parts together and we grey primed it. And yeah, we basically got up to where we are now. So what to expect in this video? Well, we're going to go ahead and we're going to make the concrete flooring. We are going to be painting up the boiler. We'll be adding all the rust effect to it. We'll be painting up the back piece. We'll be adding flicker bulbs and some red lights on the inside of the boiler. We'll be painting up the children's skulls to make them all look bent and charred. And we'll also be adding a nameplate, and we'll also be adding some felt to the bottom of the base. So yeah, so a lot to look forward to in this one. Stay tuned. Okay guys, so I went ahead and I made a wooden frame basically to just fit around the side of the routed edge. For the next part we're going to fill this up with resin. Not going to be completely, it's just going to go up to a tiny like 1 or 2 millimeters over this. These are just bits of chopped up bits of cured resin, because resin sticks to resin, so it basically just adds a bit of mass and volume. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to basically use some Polycraft SG2000 casting resin. Part A, part B, equal measures, in a cup, mixed together, and then hopefully poured in place. So I'll crack on with that now. Oh, one last thing, always remember to wear gloves. Okay guys, so I went ahead and I left all this to fully cure, fully harden. So it looks like it's nice and level, nice and straight. So for the next part I'm going to remove this wooden frame and see what we're left with. Okay guys, so all in all that worked pretty well. So there's a little bit of cleanup on this back part here where I just cut these, covered these corners up with blue tack. Obviously I've got to remove the tape, but for the most part I'm quite happy with that. So I'll clean this up and then we'll go ahead and sand this. Okay, so let's get sanding. Okay guys, so for the next part we'll go ahead and we'll grey prime this and see how it's looking. Okay guys, so for the next part, two new things. One, I found this little rounded edge of plastic in my bit box. I just thought it was the right circumference and the right diameter that would work for this really nicely. So I just super glued that in place, and now it keeps it nice and tidy and looks a bit better connecting to the back wall. And the only other new part was I went ahead and made this, which was it's basically two LEDs wired up to a battery pack that fits exactly on the inside of the boiler. So I'll give you a quick look. So as you can see there, it fits exactly. And then get this out. It's basically two LEDs that are wired up, soldered, and then I hot glued the wire wrapping around, and then it goes to a battery pack with a simple off-on switch. So yeah, so once the batteries die down on this, I literally just remove this, switch the batteries around, clip this back on, and then I'm ready to go. I did try to incorporate a flicker bulb, but unfortunately there was nowhere for me to house it, and it was also draining the battery, so I don't think these batteries are strong enough to house three bulbs for a long time. So yeah, so it looks like I'm just stuck with a red effect at the moment. I might try and tweak that later on, or I might remove one of these and make it a flicker bulb and the other one red, or two flicker bulbs. I'm not right too sure yet, but for now I'm fairly happy. So yeah, so for the next part, let's crack on and start painting the skulls. Okay guys, so for the next part I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start painting these skulls. Now these are going to be made to look like they've been burnt in the fire or a furnace, so there will be more black later on, but as an undercoat I do want the odd little bit of like bone colour sticking out, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give them an undercoat of Humbrol number 61 flesh colour. Okay guys, so now that the skulls have been given a base coat of Humbrol number 61 flesh colour, it's not perfect, as you can see. It doesn't have to be at the moment, because obviously these are going to get weathered. So for the next stage, I'm going to use just some normal watercolour. I'm going to use the grey part. Now I normally would use the black part, but I've run out. So I'm going to use basically the grey part to basically just give it a quick wash, and I'll rub off the excess with a bit of kitchen roll, and then that should leave darker tones in all the little nooks and crannies. Okay guys, so for the next part I'm going to go in with some mushroom grey, and I'm going to lightly dab it onto the palette and dry brush some lighter shades, basically just to give it a cross threads of bone rather than flesh. Okay guys, so for the next part we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the same idea as we did with the grey watercolour, but I'm going to do it with some watered down black acrylic. Okay guys, so for the next part I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give the boiler and this grate a blast of some silver spray paint. guys, so for the next part I'm going to go in with this darker metallic spray paint just to make things look a little bit more grungier. Okay guys, so for the next part I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to coat the back tiles and the concrete base with a tester pot of meadow mushroom. Okay guys, so for the next part I want to go in with some black watered down acrylic, give it a quick wash, same again, dry off the excess and then just leave dark areas and all the nooks and crannies. Basically just gives it an old worn look. Okay guys, we'll leave that to dry and then we can start adding some highlights. Okay guys, so for the next part I'm going to start super gluing some of these skulls in place so they're all nicely stacked in a pile. Okay guys, I'll go ahead and I'll leave that to dry and then we'll see how it fits and then we'll see if we end up using these last four. Okay guys, so I've hit a bit of a snag. So I like the way that all these are displayed, but unfortunately when I try to insert them inside they're not going, and the reason is this skull here, this little fella here, he's a little bit more prominent, so he's not going in. Now the only option I can think of, now yeah, I could take a grinder and grind part of his skull off, but with it being a centre facing skull, I don't really want to do that. Now I could try to I could go ahead and grind that off and then try and model some of the other side and flip it around the other way, but if I'm truthfully honest, I think I prefer the way that that's looking over the other side. So what I might do is I'm going to try and remove this skull as best I can. I can see quite a few of these coming away, and then I'm going to try and remodel it and glue it in a better position. Okay guys, that's a bit of a sweet squeeze, but seems to work a lot better than what the last one did. So I might try and get this back out, and I might try and use a few of these other skulls to pile up, really get across that there's quite a few victims. Okay guys, so in theory that should fit a lot better. I might leave this skull off because I took quite a bit of paint work off the top of the skull, and there's another part here from a different part of the skull, so that might stand out too much. So I'll save this for a different project on another day. But for now, I think that looks really cool. So yeah, next step is I might give it a quick blast with a spray gun. Okay guys, so while we're waiting for the skulls to dry, I might go ahead and I'm just going to put a tiny bit of silver acrylic onto a palette, and I'm just going to dry brush some front facing details, basically just to bring out all the highlights of all the little nooks and crannies. Okay guys, so for first coat, I think that's looking pretty cool. So we'll leave that to dry, and then we'll crack on with more details. Okay guys, so for the next part, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give Freddy's claws a quick black wash of black acrylic, and then wipe off the excess, and then hopefully it'll make him look a little bit more dirty and a little more grungier. Okay guys, we'll leave that to dry, and then we'll crack on with the next bit. Okay guys, so for the next part, same idea, but this time I'm going to use a red watercolour on Freddy's skin, basically to make it look like, emphasise the burns, and then hopefully that should make him look a little bit more menacing. Same again, I'll wipe away the excess once after it's been applied. So there you go guys, looking a lot better now. So I'll leave this to dry, and then I might add a little bit of shading around his eyes. Okay guys, so for the next part I'm going to use the airbrush to just add some darker tones to the skulls. Basically just make them look a bit more burnt and charred, and I'll also do some shading on the boiler as well. guys, so I think that'll probably do. Let's leave that to dry and crack on with the next bit. Okay guys, so now that we have our nicely charred skulls, now is a good opportunity to try and get this into here, and then hopefully I can add a bit of glue to the sides to keep it in place. So there you go guys. It looks like I have took a tiny bit of paint off this front skull, but hopefully I can just go over that with a bit of black watercolour and colour match it. So I'll go ahead and I'll add a bit of super glue into these seams here, and then that should be nicely tucked away, and then we'll try it with the light, see how it looks. Okay guys, so this is what it looks like lit up. Unfortunately the LED's not shining too brightly. I'll turn the lights off and see how it looks then. Yeah, it's not fantastic. It still works, but unfortunately it's not coming up on the camera very good. So I don't know what to do. I don't know whether to try and incorporate more lights or just leave it as is, or yeah. The only other idea I've got was to cut off a section off the back and then put some like flicker bulbs on the inside and then wire it up to a separate battery pack, and then you'd have lighting on both sides, because at the moment it doesn't seem to be penetrating through very good. So yeah, so I'll have to put my thinking cap on with that and get back to yous. Okay guys, so for the next part I want to mucky these tiles up a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead with some brown watercolour. Go over it lightly and then wipe away the excess, and then hopefully it'll stay darker in all the little nooks and crannies. Okay guys, so while that's drying, I might go ahead and I might give this a quick coat of the darker grey colour. Okay guys, so we'll go ahead and we'll leave that to dry, and then we'll see how it's looking afterwards. Okay guys, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the same again, but this time I'm going to do it with the watered down black acrylic. Same again, just give it a more of a dirtier, grungier kind of look and feel. Okay guys, I think that's looking pretty nice and grungy now, so we'll leave this to dry, And then the next step, I might go around and paint the black of the frame. Okay guys, so for the next bit I'm going to go in with the airbrush, and I'm just going to add a little tiny bit of dark edging, which is basically just like across the corners, around the front and around the sides, and then a tiny bit in this back part here, just to give a cross start where it would like blend off into the black background. Okay guys, so for the next part I want to go in with some of this, which is surface primer. It's actually like a really like I suppose like a reddish brownish colour, but it works really well for rust. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a light bit of it and then just go around all the little parts like the nuts and bolts and stuff like that where rust would accumulate, and just give it a bit of an old rusted look. Okay guys, so for the next part I'm going to go lightly in with some opaque, like a dark crimson red colour from Badger. Okay guys, I'm going to lightly do the same with the boiler as well. And the same goes a little bit for Freddy. Okay guys, so for the next part I'm going to go around and I'm going to paint all the black edges back. Okay guys, so that other battery pack wasn't working out all that great. It just didn't seem to be very vibrant or very bright. So I ended up opting for this instead, which is it's just two batteries, which is the same via an on-off switch that's connected to a multitude of orange lights. So as you can see, that looks a lot better than what just the normal one does. It's not perfect, it's not flickering, which is what I really wanted, but but just for now, I think it's fine. So as you can see there, it's quite a lot of wires in the bottom, but once it's turned on, the battery pack itself fits in more or less perfect. So like I said, it's not perfect, but it's close enough. So yeah, so it just sits on top of there like that. So yeah, so I prefer that. Not perfect, but it's not terrible neither. So yeah, I'll keep this for now. I might tinker with it and try and get it to be a bit more tidier, a bit more simple to just take it in, take it out. But for now, yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. So yeah, let's crack on with the next part. Okay guys, so same idea. I'm going to go in with the airbrush with some scarlet red, just to give it a little bit more of like a scorched, burnt look. Okay guys, so now that this is dried, it looks a little bit too pinkish for my liking. I'm wanting it to be more like a Freddy Krueger nightmare kind of scene. So I think I'm going to go in with some more scarlet red. Okay guys, so for the next part I've got some red felt. What we're going to do is I'm going to put some PVA glue on the bottom of this, put this in place and then leave it to dry overnight. Okay guys, so the felt's now dry, or the glue's dried on the felt, should I say. So we'll go ahead and we'll trim around the sides with just some regular scissors. Okay guys, so for the next part we're going to go ahead and we're going to add a nameplate to the front. So I did a Google search for A Nightmare on Elm Street, saved an image as a PNG file, sent it to a laser engravers to print out onto some 2mm wide wood, and then this is what I got back through the post. So I basically took my time and painted it up, and then this is the finished results. So as you can see there, just basically a straight Nightmare on Elm Street logo. So yeah, so the idea is I'm gonna measure out where this should go, lightly score down the side, add some score marks, and then some score marks to the back. And then I might get a bit of Aves epoxy modelling clay rolled out, and then I'll squish it in place, and then the clay will hold on to all the little scratches that we made on both sides, and then I'll leave it in place and leave it to dry, and then hopefully it should just stay in place, but if not I can add a bit of glue and put it back. So yeah, so I'll crack on with that now. Okay guys, so I'll just leave that to dry, and then hopefully it'll be stuck in place. If not, I can add some glue later. So one of the new ideas that I've got is re-watching one of the original films in the franchise. I noticed that Freddy likes to scrape his claws along a lot of metallic surfaces to make that screeching noise. So I thought, what would be a good idea, or a nice little detail, little Easter egg, is if I lightly add some scratch marks, as in like Freddy's gone around and been scratching it at some point. So I was thinking about not adding too many, just 4 in the line here, and then 4 in the line over here somewhere. So I'm just going to do that with just a regular scalpel. Okay guys, so this one's a little bit harder to make out, but this one has turned out really nice. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that. Okay guys, so for the next part I want to go ahead and I want to try and incorporate a bit of steam releasing from this valve here. The best way to do that is I've got one of those Q-tips from the other day when I cleaned out the airbrush, so it's got the same colour red to match. I'm just basically going to add a little bit of super glue behind this valve, and then I'm going to leave the Q-tip in place. I'm going to let it dry, and then I'm going to pull a Q-tip up away, and then hopefully it'll make it look a bit like steam. Okay guys, so it's been about an hour now, so let's see if we can lift this up. Okay guys, sorry about that, I had to cut away for a second. Basically it was just being a little bit on the stubborn side, so I had to wrestle with it for a little bit, but all in all it worked out pretty nice actually. So I don't know if it's showing up on the camera all that great, but to the eye it looks a lot better. It looks like steam. So yeah, so let's crack on with more details. Okay guys, so for the next part I've got a tiny little bit of white chalk. I'm going to try and etch in really small writing. 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you, 3, 4, better lock your door. That kind of a thing. Trying to make it look like a child has scribbled it on the floor and then ran away when Freddy got close. So it's going to be a little bit technical, a little bit tight, but hopefully it works. Okay guys, so as you can see there, 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you, 3, 4, better lock your door, 5, 6, grab, and it was supposed to be your crucifix, but it looks like she ran away right at the last second. So what I might do next is I might get this cocktail stick or something like it, something round, paint it white, and then glue it here like a little tiny piece of chalk on the floor. Okay guys, so we want to go ahead and we want to try and protect the what we've just done there with the piece of chalk. So the best way to do that is just to go over with some clear matte varnish, and hopefully that'll seal it in place. Okay guys, so for the next part I want to go in and I want to add a tiny little bit of detail in this back part here. I very much doubt that this will be like really clean leading up to the wall. So obviously we've got the boiler here, so this part here I just wanted to add a little tiny bit of PVA glue, and then I was just going to add some little tiny rocks and rubble just to give it a bit more of a messy look. Okay guys, so I'm going to crack on with a new Easter egg, or a new part of the diorama. I was thinking about, obviously with Freddy hunting children in their dreams, I wanted to incorporate like a child being there, and he's basically that's what Freddy's doing, he's taunting a child, or he's chasing a child kind of a thing. So I decided to add a bit of an extra detail. So what I did was I found a file online of a basically a doll's head. It's supposed to be life size to go on a real doll, but I shrunk it right down, and I created this. Now it's not the best detail, but it's not terrible neither. I think it'll work really well. So it's the same scale, 1:6 scale. So what I did was, this was actually green filament that I basically just grey primed and then given a few coats of a flesh colour. So now that that's dry, I'm going to go in with a little bit of brown watercolour and just basically go over it once, just to give it a bit of a dirty, grimy, old, neglected look. Okay guys, that's worked out pretty well. I'll leave that to dry and then we'll start adding a few more details. Okay guys, so now that this doll's head is dried, I'm just going to go in and I'm going to add a few details. Okay guys, so for the next part, I've got a tiny little bit of human hair, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to apply that to this doll. Okay guys, I think that looks pretty creepy. So the next thing I'm going to do is just get a little tiny bit of PVA glue. I'm going to put it on the end of my fingers and I'm going to run it in the hair just to make it look a little bit more sleekish, I suppose. Okay guys, I think I'll leave that to dry and then we'll see how she looks tomorrow. Okay guys, I'm going to go in with a tiny bit more crimson red just to colour match this part here, and I'll also lightly do the doll's head as well. Okay guys, so here's the doll's head. Now it's been hit with a little bit of the same red from the airbrush, so that looks like it fits in the same well. So that's just going to be basically displayed down here. I'm not going to glue it in place because it'll mess up all this hair and I don't want hair to be stuck to the base, so that's just going to be a a pausable little Easter egg. So if I don't like it at any point, I can just remove and get rid of it, or you know, just leave it there if I want to. And the only other part was I went ahead and I created a tiny little bit of chalk. Same again, I give it a tiny little blast of the same red, so it gives across the impression that it's in the same kind of lighting, but it's still white chalk. So that is just going to get glued down to the bottom of there. So once I've glued that, I think it's finished.
Freddy's coming for you. 3, 4, better lock your door. 5, 6, grab your crucifix. 7, 8, better stay up late. 9, 10, never sleep again.
Okay guys, so that's this one all wrapped up now. I've had a brilliant time making this. I've really enjoyed myself. I love the character of Freddy Krueger, so this was a must build, especially we're starting a new like horror collection. So I'm really happy with this. So yeah, so if you liked it, please smash that like button and don't forget to share on Facebook and Twitter because it helps new people find my channel, which I'm always appreciative of. Thank you for your help and thank you for your support. Smash that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future model kit builds and more statue reviews and more diorama builds and basically all the cool stuff that life has to bring. And don't forget to tune in for the next build and yeah, see you next time. I'm Francis Gray, this was the Freddy Krueger diorama and see you next time. Thank you very much and goodbye.